Hi, everybody. This week's discussion was a really cool one because I feel like our topic was a little bit more broad than it normally is. And I really like talking about how eclectic and how diverse our field is because that's actually one of the reasons why I still enjoy to study psychology. Because even just looking at my own experience, what I came into the major thinking that it was and what I'm coming out of the major now knowing what it is are two completely different things, but it's okay because it's so broad, it's so widely expansive and all-encompassing that is really what makes it so great and makes it such a deep, rich science. I think that we saw from everybody's comments in this discussion that the whole field of psychology can't be summed up into any like one single word definition without it being incredibly broad, which I mean that's okay, and a lot of we see our like forefathers in the field trying to also define it in one thing, but we see these kind of two distinct branches between practice in like the clinical sense and being a therapist and doing stuff like that, and then being in the lab and doing studies or being a teacher and doing that. So that's really, I think, where the biggest amount of diversity comes from in psychology, comes from these different ways that you can practice it while it's still being under the same umbrella, which is really interesting because there aren't many fields around where you can really do so many different things but still have it be under the same category and we still have the same goals. And I think that's because our brain and our lives and our experience is so deeply complex that we can't just study it in one certain way. And I think that we've learned that throughout the course of psychology, that every time we tried to just do it in one way, that's never enough. And even where we are now, what we know still isn't quite enough. We don't have every answer that we have for all of the questions. We don't have one certain method that works the best for really anything. We've learned that pretty much our answer to any question in this field is it depends, because it does. People are different, things vary. And in order for that to be reflected in the field, we have to have countless different ways of studying, countless different ideas, different practices, and that's what we're seeing today. I feel like we are constantly branching off into new areas, and that only strengthens and enriches our field. I think that it's really interesting to talk about how diverse psychology is in its methods, because I think that is something that makes our field unique. I don't necessarily think that all other sciences are as methodologically eclectic as psychology is. So I think that after fighting all those years to be recognized as a true science, today we're there and we're maybe even overshooting that because of the fact that we're still growing at this incredible rate. So I think that overall we all kind of just discussed how rich this field is and how much bigger it is than just one certain type of studying, just one simple subject. It's really an all-encompassing field and kind of encompasses all aspects of human life and experience into one scientific little container. And this is one of my favorite discussions that we've had because I love seeing my classmates' opinions on what makes this field so great and why diversity is really something that can only help us, that being diversity in methods and also with the people who are in our field.